Ladies and gentlemen, fellas, what's going on? A little bit of a million maker on a Monday. What's up? What's popping? I see a bunch of people already in here, a couple hundred people. So, how this works. We got a million maker starting at 8:20 tonight. I got projections, rankings, a bunch of stuff, ownership, looking at that on my right screen, and a bunch of Q&A questions on my right screen as well. So basically, we're going to go through here. I'm going to take a bunch of people's questions, whether it's this guy or that guy, whether it's game theory-wise, whether it's playing 4 guys, 2 guys from a team, right? If you're playing on DraftKings, Super Draft, whatever it might be for multiplier format, we have all that. And Super Draft is the presenting sponsor of this live stream. So, what Super Draft is something that a lot of people in the community are winning a lot of money. $25,000 last Sunday, somebody won $5K last Monday. There's $5,500 up for grabs tonight on Super Draft. There's $1 million on DraftKings. So a lot of stuff in the industry as basically, DraftKings is pioneering all this stuff for showdown slates. I believe they were the ones to, don't quote me on this, just release it a while back, right? A couple of years back now, I think 3 years ago for the NFL. And now they're making it a pretty often $1 million thing. Now this is going on 2 or 3 weeks since the showdown slates have been $1 million makers, not counting just like the season opener. So a lot of traffic coming through, a lot of questions. So be sure to drop them in there. There's going to be a lot of questions coming in, so if yours doesn't get answered, I'll try and get right back to it. If you leave a super chat, it definitely will. So I see a bunch of people in here right now. Mike, thank you again for the 12x profit. Yeah, Mike, I saw your tweet. I think I ended up retweeting it, requoting it, so congrats, man. Appreciate it. I assume that you ended up getting onto a lot of like the Mahomes stuff yesterday, right? So a ton of Mahomes yesterday. If you had the lineups that had the defense that you need, right? Miami defense goes for 2 defensive scores, like 26 points at halftime alone, then you were in a really good spot. If you had Mahomes, and it didn't matter who you stacked him with, game stack, team stack, you were already in a good spot. Probably team stack worked out better for you, unless you got like 6 points from Mims, you got like 10 or 11 points on a ton of targets for Berrios, but ended up being a pretty good week, right? Very good week. Didn't realize my speakers weren't fully up. Good luck, everybody. What's up? Thoughts on Tyler Johnson? Yeah, so I'm going to answer a bunch of people's questions. Feel free to drop them on there. Like, subscribe, all that stuff during the video. Super Draft, again, sponsor of the show. If you use the promo code SAL, S-A-L, if you have any questions, I have my projections for Super Draft up. You can get all that stuff on Patreon. If you have any questions about that, let me know. It's a multiplier format, so no salary cap. You basically get a 1x multiplier, so Tom Brady, you get 1 times his points he scores tonight. But somebody, if you take, for example, like a Evan Ingram, is going to get 1.65 his points, an extra 65% points. So that's where kind of the strategy comes in. Somebody says, Sal always scares me when he comes on loud as shit. Yeah, on my TV. Yeah, somebody said something about my mic. I know I need a new mic. I don't know the terminology that the people were using last week, but it moves up and down. Edits. Yeah, Mahomes and Dalvin Cook. Man, you had Dalvin Cook. You definitely 12x there. I think we had like a 3.5x week myself personally, but damn, you 12x because you had that Dalvin Cook in there too. All right, Edit says, who's having the bigger night, Evans or Miller tonight? I have Evans to have the bigger night tonight. I have more Evans. It's nothing against Miller. Like, Miller's matchup is nice. Also appreciate the super chat. Miller's matchup is very nice, right? It looks strong. The issue for Miller, though, is that he's like priced for it at this point. Now, Evans is expensive, $10,800, right? But you have Miller at $8,600, and he's going to be operating on the other outside, right? Not in the slot for the far majority of this game. He will also have an okay matchup, right? He'll see some Carlton Davis. I don't think he'll be the one seeing, maybe sees, I say Carlton Davis as if that's the guy that's not on his own team. He'll basically be saying on the opposite outside, the opposite of James Bradbury, which is going to be the good matchup today, right? Logan Ryan in the slot has been okay this year. He's been better than expected, and that's kind of dating back to Tennessee last year. So he's going to be in the slot on Tyler Johnson, Justin Watson. So the best matchup for a wide receiver, one-on-one, like majority of the time tonight, I expect it to be Scotty Miller, right? Whether it's Ryan Lewis, whether it's Harper out there. But that only helps too much depending on your price point. Like projecting him for 12 points, 13 points, somewhere around there from a fantasy point projection, I'm in that facility, in that range. It doesn't help as much when you're 8,600. If he was 6,600, 7,000 flat, it becomes a little bit more appealing. So he's in my player pool now. He went from a no to a maybe because I ran my crunches, 150 lineups. I have them all set right now. Some stuff will change. I'll talk through this if I get any ideas. But if you have any questions on the exposures and things like that. So Mike Evans for me. What about stacking Fournette and Jones? Actually, I'm not going to be playing Fournette and Jones tonight together. As favorites, I don't think that it's the craziest thing. 12.5 point favorites, 12 point favorites. I think that Fournette, both of those guys, last games, 14 touches for Jones, 17 for Fournette. They can definitely get there. I'm not running it tonight, though. As of right now, at least. That's just my decision. I don't think it's a bad thing if you play them both together. Did you just go live? Yeah, probably about 5 minutes ago. So yeah, I am actually allowing in, though. I'm allowing in 2 running backs from the Giants, though, which seems kind of weird as huge underdogs, right? So I don't think I'm going to get any lineups with it, but Deion Lewis and Wayne Gallman can get in the same lineup together. The only reason why I think that that's at least okay, half decent, is because Deion Lewis is $1,200, right? If Deion Lewis catches 3 passes for 40 yards tonight on like 12 routes run, his 7 points can get in the winning lineup. It doesn't really affect all that much Wayne Gallman. His 3 touches that ended up going for a decent amount of yardage don't really hurt Wayne Gallman's upside. Whereas in my opinion tonight, more times than not, if Leonard Fournette, like last time you saw them combine for 31 touches, if Leonard Fournette sees 15 touches tonight and Ronald Jones sees 15 touches, they can both get there for sure, but they're also priced up, so they have to get there in a major way. Multiple touchdowns, one of them, right? Or going over 100 yards. Their 15 touches combining for like 90 yards and no scores for one of them is not going to get you there because of their price points. Can you fade both quarterbacks on this slate? I don't really think I'm going to. Now, if you're playing one lineup, of course you can. There's a lot of nice mid-range receivers, basically the entire Giants offense. You have priced up guys that look decent as well in terms of Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette to an extent, Ronald Jones to an extent, right? These guys are going to see middling and teens touches at the running back position you would expect. So you can fade both quarterbacks. It's tough for me to want to get away from both of them, though. I'm getting a lot of both. And more Brady, but a lot of both. How many captains do you play in your 20 max lineups? I don't have any 20 max crunched out right now, but normally I usually say 1 to 3. Some nights I like one guy a ton and he grades out a lot better and I get like 90% of him. So I figure, you know what, I'm just going to go 100%, right? Things like that. So it depends on your risk tolerance, but I don't like to spread it out more than 3 if you're only playing 20 lineups. Like right now, tonight for my 150s, I have 5 captains. Is weather still a problem tonight? Yeah, people are saying winds and things like that. It's actually a good thing to bring up. Let me check the Vegas total and see how much they've dropped on Fantasy Lab. So the total is only dropped by 1.5 total points tonight. It's only dropped by 1 point for the Giants. It's actually increased for Tampa Bay. So, I mean, maybe weather's going to be an issue, but it doesn't seem like anywhere near yesterday's weather concerns where the games are dropping by 5 points per team, right? Like 5 points, 4 points, crazy stuff. Bradbury will see all 3 Bucs wide receivers. Yeah, I mean, Bradbury has moved around the field. Like, people think that Bradbury, even dating back last year, he only shadowed like 3 or 4 times in the season, meaning like 67 to 7. It's like 2/3 of the amount of snaps is how a lot of places classify the shadow matchups. So I do think that Bradbury is going to move around. I don't think that he's going to move into the slot, though. Like, I don't really think that Bradbury, you're going to see him all that much into the slot. You might see Bradbury in the slot tonight 20% of the time. Now, in different matchups, like if he's facing the Chargers and Keenan Allen goes into the slot, yeah, Bradbury maybe goes into the slot 40% of the time that game. But I don't think Bradbury's moving into the slot tonight for Tyler Johnson, right? I don't think that's happening. He'll move into the slot if Mike Evans goes into the slot, which actually started to happen a little bit more last week. I don't know how much that'll happen now with Chris Godwin out in 4 wide receiver sets, but it might be there. Sal, would you put Tampa Bay defense in the captain spot to see turnovers for the Giants? The only way I would play Tampa Bay defense tonight, if you're playing one lineup, probably is in the captain spot, but no, I don't have any captain ownership towards them. I didn't exclude them from that spot. I just didn't end up getting any. But like the way for Tampa Bay to really hurt anybody tonight is for them to have multiple scores, or for them to score 20 fantasy points in terms of their captain, like their defense. And if that's the case, it might as well be in your captain spot. Like they're 13 points. That doesn't kill you if you don't play them, right? Is Tyler Johnson a play? I'm not getting any Tyler Johnson right now. Actually, let me double check that to make sure I don't have like 1%. I have 0% Tyler Johnson. It's just tough. He's 4,800, and I have him for a similar role like to Justin Watson today, who's $4,000 cheaper, right? So it's tough to get there. Thoughts on AB joining the Buccaneers? Yeah, I mean, he'll be able to play, next game, week 9, week 10. So I think that's going to affect Scotty Miller. I personally don't think that AB is going to be the same AB he was when we last saw him for a full season, like two years ago, right? 2.5 years ago. So yeah, I don't have much interest. Obviously, if he's on your waiver wire and you're not if you're in a somewhat like deep league, just pick him up. If you only have like 3 bench spots, 4 bench spots, you probably don't need him, to be honest with you. He's joining an offense that has 3 other like good pass catchers as Gronk now comes on. Scotty Miller being involved, and it's an offense that is definitely going to run the ball as well. So yeah, I don't think AB at 32. He probably still has something left in the tank, but I don't think it's like a wide receiver 1. It's probably going to be like a week in and week out ranked like the wide receiver 30. Too many good wide receiver options for Tampa Bay. Bradbury will face a few different guys. No Godwin tonight. I would agree with you more if Godwin was out there. I would say that Bradbury will move into the slot more. I would say that Bradbury is going to be on a good amount of the time, Mike Evans, and then he'll slide over to Scotty Miller. Won't really go much into the slot, I don't think, against Watson or Tyler Johnson. Got any Fournette at the captain spot tonight? I have Fournette in the captain spot, yes. Single entry, Shepard in the captain, assuming they are playing from behind. I think that Shepard in the captain spot is a very fine option. I think Fournette at captain is only good to be like 6% drafted. It's only going to be like 6% drafted. Yeah, he's not going to be that highly drafted. I mean, a lot of the captain ownership usually goes to like the most expensive guys because people, and rightfully so, correlate most expensive guys with highest projected if you don't have access to projections. If you want access to projections, you can check them out down below on Patreon, patreon.com, /Sal_Vetri_. Shadowing won't work for the Bucs. Too many weapons. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know why that comes into account. I don't think, look, Bradbury doesn't really shadow anyways, but Mike Evans has been good when Chris Godwin's not out there. He's at least been targeted, right? He's seeing a ton of overall usage in this offense, like a lot. So I don't really know why people don't think that you're going to see a lot of Mike Evans with Bradbury. You might see some Scotty Miller. I don't think that's a good matchup by any means for Bradbury. And then I don't think they're going to be wasting him, in my opinion, on Tyler Johnson or Justin Watson in the slot. Like, Goblin's not playing tonight, right? If Goblin was playing tonight, yeah, I think there's a strong case to be made. Sign up for Patreon and have my best weekend on DraftKings. I'm on a Monday to Thursday league. Should I save most of my players for Thursday night? Thanks again. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the family. Welcome home, Kyle. Shout out to you joining Patreon. A lot of people joined this week. I appreciate all of you. So Thursday's game is kind of up in the air. A.J. Dillon has COVID. The last time that there was a Thursday night game that had the threats of COVID, they moved it to Monday night. So I don't know if DraftKings is just going to be like, okay, we'll just like take this Monday night slate tonight, and if the game on Thursday gets moved to next Monday night, we'll just wait for that to happen. Then you got to wait a whole week to just get your entry fees back or your winnings, right? That's kind of crazy. No Jimmy G, no George Kittle in that game on Thursday. A lot of the times I opt to wait until the Thursday game to get a good amount of my players, and I think I'd probably do that again tonight. You can still get Bucks guys. There's a couple of Giants guys who look good, but most of the time, a lot of people in those contests, especially if you're in like a small field event, like a couple hundred people, but most of the time, a lot of the people, the majority of the field will try and load up on the first game because you're excited to watch the game. You're excited to see your players play, even if sometimes that second game is going to be a better game. This one being a 12-point difference, like the Packers are going to be favored in now, right? Without Jimmy G or Kittle out there, I don't think it will be 12 points. It might be somewhere around like 8 or 9. I don't know if the spread's changed. I think it opened at like 3. So honestly, 8 or 9's a lot too. Like, I don't think Jimmy G's worth that much. It might be like a 6-point spread now. What's your highest owned captain for tonight? It's going to be pretty close. Nobody like stands out above the rest, but I have a lot of Sterling Shepard at this point. I feel okay about that. Yeah, I feel okay about a good amount of Sterling Shepard. Moves into the slot a good amount. Obviously, his matchups on the outside aren't great. I think this is going to be a weird slate. I think Wayne Gallman's a fine captain option. I think both the running backs for the Bucks are, for not being the cheaper one, and projects out better point per dollar wise than Jones, so I get a little bit more there. I am tempted to go to the Bucks in the captain spot because nobody's going to probably want to own that. Let's actually look at some of this stuff right now. I'm going to try and pull up some of this. Also, if you're in right now, you got to stick around till later because we're going to have a special guest for the second time this year. Last time, nailed Nick Boyle for a touchdown in the optimal lineup. What's up, Sal? What's going on, Doug? How you doing? Just got done doing 40 minutes of cardio. What did I miss? Nice. We've been live for a couple minutes, right, guys? We've been live for I've been on the screen for about 10 minutes. You didn't miss much. Welcome in, everybody. About how many people in here right now? 500 or so of you. What's going on? Hit the like, hit the subscribe, all those things. I'm surprisingly over the field on Tyler Johnson. Yeah, I'm going to be well below with my 0% right now. The go to the captain spot? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers in the captain. Played a primetime tournament. Had too much Wentz. Need to swap. Evans for Gronk or Miller for Evans. If you need to swap, like you need to be playing from behind. You need to be going after lower owned swaps, in my opinion. So I would probably not play Evans, who's going to be picking up ownership. I would probably try to go more towards Scotty Miller. What did you project Deion Lewis for? So my projections are on Patreon below if you want to check them out. But right now I have Deion Lewis projected for 3.9 fantasy points, which makes him a pretty good point per dollar play, the third best point per dollar play in the slate. But again, it's a showdown slate, so obviously the cheap guys will usually be some of the best if they're projected for any type of usage. What's up, Sal? Appreciate you, brother. What's going on, Cody? How you doing, my man? Brady at captain are too expensive. Yeah, I'm not going to be running Brady at captain tonight. There's a couple of reasons why I don't want to. Too expensive is one of the reasons. He's also going to be a chalky captain. Like, Brady's probably going to be the most owned captain. And yes, a 5-touchdown game from Brady puts him in the captain spot. But a 290-yard game for 2 to 3 touchdowns from Brady, depending on who gets those touchdowns and what the Giants do on the other side, at that price point, might keep him out of the captain spot. So if Brady's really going to be the highest owned captain tonight, it's usually not an instant fade for me. But when you're in this price range, if you're not a mobile quarterback, right, and you're in this price range, now he's throwing downfield. He has all the weapons, although Godwin's not out in this game, so that does hurt. If you're not going to have mobility, usually it's hard for me to want to get you at 12K. Like, if you're not Patrick Mahomes, if you're not one of these mobile quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, like these types of guys are really tough to want to get to if they're going to be owned in the captain spot. If Brady was not owned tonight, then yeah, I'll go to him, right? What's the risk there? But if, I don't know, let's say 20% of the field plays Brady in the captain spot, the highest owned guy, I think there's a lot of leverage in not playing him there because how is the way that he gets there? Like, if Brady goes for 3 touchdowns tonight, the odds are the Giants are doing something on the opposite side, right, to try and get back in there, whether it's the multi-touchdown game from a Sterling Shepard, or the only way that Brady really is the captain with a 3-touchdown game tonight is if each of those touchdowns is to random people, like different people, maybe one to Evans, one to a random guy like Cameron Brate as a backup tight end, something like that. It's really tough for him to get into that captain spot unless he's spreading the ball around. Like Big Ben's done it a couple times, but he throws to like 5 different guys for touchdowns. Justin Watson, question mark? Yeah, I have a good amount of Justin Watson right now. Not like 50%, but I would assume above the field on Justin Watson tonight. I'm going to be coming in around 15%. I don't think that will be massively above the field. I think people are going to own Justin Watson because you should. He might only run 15 routes, but he's slowly been running routes, and now there's no Chris Godwin, and he used to be the starting slot receiver until Tyler Johnson kind of took that over, but he's also been battling back from an injury for the past month. So you might see a clean split in the slot tonight of like 16 routes apiece for Tyler Johnson and Justin Watson, and their price point's a $4,000 difference. Do you like Gallman or Ingram tonight? I'm going to like Gallman more. I believe he's in the same price range, but Gallman right now I have for pretty similar in terms of just, I'm projected for better than Ingram, and his overall price point is going to be cheaper. So definitely Gallman for me. Bucks defense is real. D. Jones must do rollouts and scramble. Giants defense is also good. Tough mapping the game flow. Yeah, the Giants defense is actually surprisingly good. Run defense is good. Parts of the game, like their pressure is okay. Their coverage, like okay. Tackling, not great. Bucks defense is real. Yeah, the Bucks defense is definitely real. All parts of it. Defensive line, run defense. The secondary looks insane this year. Who projects out more, Slayton or Shepard for you? They project out as very similar plays for me. I'm probably going to get more Sterling Shepard because of the slight price discount. I have them both projecting out for right around 12 fantasy points. I also think that you're probably going to see similar ownership. They're kind of a coin toss play, right? Slayton gives you the higher upside, so like in theory, you should probably want to play Slayton because he has that higher downfield upside, but he's also probably going to have the toughest matchup on the outside. Whereas Sterling Shepard will move into the slot a good amount more. Like Shepard might play 40% slot tonight, whereas Slayton plays like 12%, 15%. So I'm trying to take advantage of like those more optimal spots. I also have Shepard projected for more. It's not major, but he's cheaper and projects a little bit more. Fade Devontae Adams or Mike Evans? Like for next week, probably Mike Evans. Fournette captain spot, I have a good amount. Yeah, I have some. Can you scroll down to see the rest? Yeah. I mean, it's just basically the nose unless a couple of guys who are in the maybes weren't popping up like a Justin Watson or something like that. Would you play Shepard or the Bucks D? I'd probably be playing Sterling Shepard there. The Bucks D is going to be interesting, though. I do think they're going to be owned. Like, the Bucks D is not going to be 5% owned in the showdown slate. Like, anybody, like, above $6,000, usually just from people mashing buttons together, will be, like, 20+% owned. So I think the Bucks D will probably be around 20% owned tonight. But, like, captain spot, yeah, I mean, you're going to get some Bucks D in the captain spot just because people know how good this Bucks D is and how bad the offensive line is for the Giants and just their offense in general this year. So I think you're probably going to see Bucks D maybe like 5% in the captain spot, which like most guys, once you start to get below like the 5th or 6th or 7th highest on captain, they're not usually in that range. They're usually like 2 or 3% on the captain spot. I think Bucks D will probably be like the 7th most owned captain, somewhere around there. Somebody says lock in the Bucks defense as captain. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely getting different compared to like Brady. Like Brady will be like 4 times more owned than the Bucks defense, I think. But I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think you're going to be insanely unique. Like Bucks defense hits in the captain spot, it's still going to be hard to win the Millie Maker. How many points for Leonard Fournette tonight? I don't know. Hopefully somewhere around 20 plus, and if he's in my captain spots, right? But like 11. I mean, a lot of these guys just project out for such similar points. Like Daniel Jones, point per dollar wise, doesn't look great. Neither does Mike Evans. Brady looks okay, but then everybody after that, like all the way down from like Evan Ingram up to Sterling Shepard, Ronald Jones, they're not separated by that many fantasy points overall, like 5, and that's a huge difference. So like this slate can go really any way. Will Deion Lewis be low owned? Yeah, I would expect Deion Lewis to be low owned. It's going to be hard to build a unique lineup unless you have a couple, probably like $1,000 plus on the table, unless you're going to get really wonky in the captain spot, like playing, I don't know, like a Tyler Johnson in the captain spot or something, or a Justin Watson. That's where you'll get a little bit unique. I don't think that they're that great of plays. I think Deion Lewis will probably come in 6, 7, 8% owned, somewhere around there. Heard your rhymes on Spotify. I don't know what that means. Can you scroll up? Yeah. Tyler Johnson not on the board? No, he is. He's right there. He's on the bottom. I don't have any. Daniel Jones, 14 over under. Fantasy points, I have him over. Gallman or Ingram tonight? I have more Gallman. $7,400 is a hard swallow for a defense. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's different ways you can get there. You can get 8 sacks and 3 turnovers, right? And like limit the amount of points. And right there, you're looking at like an 18 fantasy point day without even scoring in touchdowns. There's different ways you can get there. I think this Bucs defense is good. I think they're going to have an insane matchup on the offensive line advantage, like defensive line versus offensive line. But yeah, I mean, trying to have an elite defensive performance, if you're going to be playing them, like unless they do really well at that price point, they're probably not going to be helping your lineups all that much. Now they can score 15 points and it doesn't harm you, but I'd probably be, if I wanted to play them in one lineup, put them in the captain spot. Where's your what? Do you like Golden Tate better than the kickers? It's going to be very close. Like they're going to all project out similarly. Obviously, the kickers have a safer floor, especially the Bucs kicker with the implied points total of 28.5 tonight. I'll still lean to the positional player. Like when their projections look pretty similar, but your positional players, you obviously have the upside of scoring double the points if you just score a touchdown than the kickers. I'm going to be going to that, like more times than not. Do you like any of the running backs in the captain spot? Yeah, I'm going to have probably no Ronald Jones because of the price point, but I'll probably have Gallman and Fournette there. Bradbury has a great history against Evans. Yeah, I mean, some guys do, right? Lattimore has like the best history against him, maybe out of like any guys in the entire league right now. Would it be stupid to play both Tampa Bay running backs? I'm not going to do it, but I think that it's actually, like, I think that it's okay to do. I'm not personally doing it, but I think that's fine to do both. The price points, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, the price points on these guys to play both, it makes it a little difficult, right? Like, to be able to play both of those guys, you need a bigger game probably from Ronald Jones at 8,800, but he has to have a big enough game that they don't like start to lower the workload of Leonard Fournette. Like if Ronald Jones is having a great game, they probably give him 20 touches and Fournette only gets like 10 or 12, right? So for them both to have like average games or both to see 15 touches, maybe they can both go for like 80 and a touchdown and 2 catches, right? That's what you're hoping for at that point. But at 8,800 and what is it, like 66, 6,200, they're definitely both in play. Yeah, 6,200 for Fournette. But it's also a tough matchup, like run defense wise. They'll have the game flow in their favor, but I'm just not going to get there. I think that it can work out for you. I'm not going to get there. Thanks for Mahomes. Had Garoppolo in a single entry before watching you. Nice. That was a big difference, right? Garoppolo hurt now. Going to be a little bit banged up. Shepard projected better than Fournette for you, I'm guessing. They're very similar. They're within like less than a point of each other. Somebody says Tate is dust. Yeah, Tate has been pretty dust, right? He only has 2 catches in the last 2 weeks. But there's also a showdown slate where nobody wants to own him, and he's a wide receiver in the slot with probably the best matchup on the Giants tonight. So like Golden Tate, I would expect like 15% ownership. Captain ownership to be 3%, like 2%. I don't want to put him in the captain, like because you need 2 touchdown upside from him, and he's just not showing like the ability to get anywhere near that right now. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna have the best matchup tonight. You would expect that. I don't think they're gonna have a lot of time for Daniel Jones to drop back and throw, especially if they get up and can pin their earbacks and actually pressure even more. But you would expect Daniel Jones to maybe throw 40 times, somewhere around there, 35, 36 times. Golden Tate has not been great. He ran his least snaps that he's routes or played his least snaps that he ever has this season in week 7, 48%. That was by far his least, 10% less than his next lowest, which was week 5 against Dallas. He hasn't been great. He's only seen 3 targets in the last 2 weeks, 8 targets in the last 3 weeks. That's not great, but he's $3,000. He's priced cheaper than the kickers, and you literally just need him to have a touchdown in this game. And if you're wondering, the last touchdown for him did actually come, last game? He had 1 touchdown on his 1 catch for a 39-yard touchdown. He used to be a little bit more consistent. Sterling Shepard being back, he'll move into the slot a little bit more. That will actually push off and maybe get CJ Board if he's going to be active. We'll have that news on CJ Board by 6:50. If CJ Board's active, that actually might hurt Golden Tate a little bit more because it allows the Giants to go in 3 wide receiver sets. They could actually push Shepard into the slot more and keep CJ Board on the outside with Darius Slayton. And if that's the case, well, then yeah, that does hurt Golden Tate a little bit. Like that's the reason why you might see his snaps come down. But he's still probably going to run in this type of a game atmosphere like 20, 25 routes. 25 might be high, but somewhere around there. Like he was running 25 plus routes for the first 4 weeks. Then it's been 11 and 18 the last 2 weeks. So a little bit of a switch, right? These games are staying closer with Washington and Philly, so maybe they run the ball a little bit more, 2 wide receiver sets. He comes off the field. So if they are indeed going to get down by a touchdown, double-digit points in this game, I would expect Golden Tate to run around 20 plus routes, which makes him look a lot underpriced. Like it starts to push him back towards where you're seeing 5 targets every week for the first 4 weeks, and a 5-target Golden Tate tonight should probably be about $4,500, not $3,000. What does all the Patreon include if I were to join? Yeah, so I could put a link to like the page that just shows you everything that's included. It's a bunch of stuff. I'm assuming that you want to. It's other sports too, golf right now, basketball, and that starts back up. But there's a lot of stuff for the NFL. Projections, rankings, 20-plus pages of game-by-game notes, like a full breakdown. A podcast on Sunday that goes through my rules, exposures, just GPP strategy, exactly how I should be basically going and playing well. And a lot of people benefited this past week from the Mahomes and Chiefs and all that type of stack, which for some reason people weren't on him, only like 12% owned and like 10% in a lot of contests. But this page will show you everything, showdown information, ownership. I got the email today that it looks like the deal should be done. I just have to finalize some stuff. Or I think I'm getting the email today. I saw an email come through when I was live. So yeah, a lot of stuff. There's other stuff too. I'm on the page right now. If you click that link, it'll take you there. You can check it all out. Recaps of the previous weeks. Discord access, depending on the tier that you are going to sign up for. Check it all out. Golf projections. What is your projection for Watson? How much are you getting of him? Yeah, what's up, Cody? Of Justin Watson is for 4.5 fantasy points. He's my highest point per dollar play in terms of value because he's so cheap. I'm getting, I think, like 15% Watson, which should be above the field. I don't think the field will come in on more than that. Yeah, like 15% Watson to no Tyler Johnson. So I'm not saying, like, Tyler Johnson for me is $4,000 more than Watson, and I only have Tyler Johnson projected for 0.7 more points. So literally like a reception more. Not even. Brady or Fournette as a captain, thank you. I would have Fournette there. I'm just going to fade Brady in the captain spot. Not fade him overall, like he's in a lot of my other lineups. But I'm just going to bet against him throwing for 4 to 5 touchdowns tonight. And if he does throw for 4 to 5, I'm going to also bet against that he's not spreading those balls out, right? Like if Mike Evans scores 2 or 3 touchdowns tonight, or Scotty Miller does, or Gronk does, there's a good chance that they're going to be the captain over Brady just because of the price savings and just straight up overall points. Jake Elwood says, Gyalf. Yeah, shout out Gyalf. I think I'm going to do a video tomorrow. It's only like, 129-man field, 128. The Houston Open. Not the greatest of events, but we actually have a lot of guys in it. Trying to get a tune-up in before the Masters next week. Definitely a video for the Masters, but I'll probably try and get a golf video up by noon tomorrow. The betting video is already scheduled for tomorrow morning. What's your favorite NBA team? Yeah, I actually don't have a favorite NBA team. I just like the sport, and specific players, so those are the games I'll tune into. But yeah, I'm basically just fans of what my parents were, my dad was, but he never was interested in the NBA. So from a fandom standpoint, he followed the Knicks and stuff from being from New York, but never was really into it. You think any running backs go over 100 yards tonight? I don't have any projected to, but sure they can, right? They're going to get a lot of attempts from the Tampa Bay backs. It's tough to project them to go over 100 yards. It's a bad projection if you do, in my opinion. Sally took down the $10 25K to first showdown special for the Seattle versus San Fran game, tied with 5 others and won $7,600. Wow, hit for another $500 in the Classic. Slate with a Mahomes stack, just missing out on $50K. Shout out Kyle. This man Kyle be reeling him in. That man won what? $8,200 yesterday? Nice. Ronald Jones, 13.5. You going over? I have no stance on that. 13.5 would be a spot where I don't want to take a more or less prop on that. I think that's a good number in terms of what the book is giving you. If it's monkey knife fight, whatever it might be, I don't think that you have any edge in taking a side in that. Which spread do you like here? I don't have a side in that either. So I'm not going to just say I like one side of the game just to say it. I really don't like any side of it. And it's also really late to be betting this. I usually today, I made all my bets for week 9 today, including the Monday night game for next week. And you can see all that stuff comes out tomorrow morning in that video. I think it's scheduled for 8 a.m. Eastern time. But I won't bet a game's total the day of or 2 hours before because you're just throwing your money away at that point. You might win that bet that night, but long term you're not going to because the spread moves 2 or 3 points. It's already moved 2 points, right? So the overall total has moved 2 points. What does the spread actually move in this game? The spread in this game has moved 3 points, so you're getting a totally different number. You're buying the stock at the high point right now. There's no value left in this line. So actually placing a bet tonight, it's fun, right? If you're doing it for entertainment, it's just fun. But if you're placing it to have an understanding that you might actually win at some point, it's just not going to happen. Long term, if you're placing your bets 2 hours before the game starts, you're never going to long term win. You're going to leak money, which I know for 99.9% of people it's entertainment, so none of that matters. But the line has moved 3 points. Your goal is to get on the positive side of that line, so you actually technically have won back 3 points from Vegas in the market. Good shit, Kyle Hunter. Yeah. Shout out Kyle. U Sports Penn State. Is that your team? Yeah, I graduated from Penn State. I did a 5-year program there last summer. Signed up for Super Draft because of you, Sal, says Spencer Hughes. Shout out you. Yeah, we had another person reach out to me yesterday in the DMs saying that they won another $6,000 on Super Draft and that they hope that I used my projections. Kevin. Oh, wait, this is okay, so this is the exact same guy, if I remember correctly, that won the $25K last week. He just won another $6K this week on Super Draft. So this man's bankroll started at $100 a couple weeks ago, and now it's up to the point where it is right now. Alrighty, 6 o'clock. We're about the halfway point right now. Alrighty, yeah, 30 minutes exactly. Okay, let me send the queue in. We're going to have a special guest. A couple weeks ago, and I think it was a month and a half ago at this point, we had a situation where we had a special guest come on, if you're not familiar, and we gave you the play of the night at that point. Very cheap, Nick Boyle. Dirt cheap. Scores a 5-yard touchdown. Ends up getting everybody there who wanted to get there, right? You had him in the optimal lineup, or if you had him, he was probably in the optimal lineup. You ended up winning. So tonight, we're going to have a very special guest. We're going to prime this thing up. So let's take a word right now. If you're watching right now, I think there's about 800 something of you watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We're about to give you the play that you can't go home without tonight. This is the mortal lock, if you will. Alrighty. Thank you. Here we go. I see some people saying, who's your big-time fade tonight? We're not going to give you a big-time fade, but we're going to give you the player that you need to get to tonight. Give you a second of your time. Make way for our special guest tonight. Thank you to the presenting sponsor. Here we go.
Hello, all. You will be making a mistake if you don't pick Cameron Brate for tonight's game. That's your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Well, there you go. If you have not yet heard already, tell your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, whoever you got to tell, Cameron Brate. The man, the myth, the legend. We got a thing. The special guest on this show. Uh-oh. People are getting ready. This is hitting the people right now in the YouTube streets, literally right now. There we go. If you have not been around It seems now we have a trend. This is 2 special guests in a row. Backup tight ends on showdown slates. We're 1 for 1 with Nick Boyle. Cameron Brate tonight. That sounds like some of the sharpest picks that you can get out there. No Chris Godwin. Last time there was no Chris Godwin. He caught like 4 passes. Look at all this stuff. People coming in right now. Somebody said, who the fuck? Uh-oh. Damn, people right now, if they're not playing Cameron, I'm not telling you right now. I don't usually play single entry, but I think I might have to. Somebody says, that's a strange hill to die on. I don't know why people are not liking Cameron Brate. Do people not know last time Chris Godwin was out? Cameron Brate? This is not even my pick, but last time Chris Godwin was out, Cameron Brate ran a ton of routes. Cameron Brate got on the field a lot more in 2 tight end sets. They're going to be up a lot tonight, 2 tight end sets. I mean, I could back any type of pick that anybody picks. I can find the positive edge to it. But this is a good positive spin right now. Somebody says, what the fuck? Somebody says, who was that? That was a special guest tonight. So, yeah, somebody says, was that George Kittle? Somebody says, that was George Little. My man George Kittle's dead. We just found his guy. Damn, people really don't like Cameron Brate. This is going to be so fun. Last time it was Nick Boyle like late in the 4th quarter, and Nick Boyle ended up getting us there. This time, Cameron Brate, oh, I cannot wait. This is going to be fantastic. How much is he tonight? He's only $1,400. Our man ran 16 routes, caught 5 passes on 6 targets for 44 yards last time Chris Godwin was out on a showdown slate. Last time Chris Godwin was out, period. Something to it. Great value brand, George Kittle. If you hate money, go with... he meant to say Justin Watson. Nah. This is going to be fantastic. How'd you get George Kittle in your house? Left the door open. If I use Cameron Brate, I have to leave $4K on the table. That's perfect. I can't see any other reason to do that. You're the man, Sal. No, you're the man. Sal, Tater, one of the kickers tonight. I'm going to be going with Tate. I'll go with the positional player. Sal got me wanting to plug in Cameron Brate now. Sal, do you deadass like Cameron Brate at all? Look, the special guest is special guest. I'm not going to side against the special guest. If the first special guest would have fell flat on his face with the Nick Boyle call, I would say, okay, tread lightly here. But when you have a 100% hit rate on special guests on your show, what am I supposed to slander the special guest that comes on? Never. If Sal say, go with it. What does it say? Most projections have Brate for 3.5 points. How much higher are you putting Brate's projection? I mean, after that, we're probably going to have to double it. Upload it to Patreon for about 7 fantasy points. Somebody says Brate ownership spiking through the roof right now. Yeah, my man Cameron Brate was probably going to be like 5% owned, and now you're probably looking at about 50% owned. Who the hell was that dude? Yeah, man, just special guest. Left the door open and some guy walked in. Fournette or Gronk, GPP, Fournette. How much Brate do you have? Well, before that, I'm going to have to recrunch now and bump the projection. Before that, I had 2% Brate, but I'm literally going to go in right now because why not? Let's see what happens here. Cameron Brate, let's double his projection and see what happens. We put him from 3.5. I had Cameron Brate for 3.5 fantasy points. Let's see if I put him at 7 fantasy points now. Oh, man, we're getting... Oh, man. 38%, 37%. It's crunching. 36% Cam Brate. If we double it, that seems a little aggressive. Let's double it and then cut it in half. AK, keep it the same. Let's put it to 5 from 3.5 because, I mean, if you have somebody come on your show and say that, it's like not going to hit. Sal's a victim of the streets. What is your exposure to the kicker? Is it more than usual? Yeah, it's probably a little bit more than usual. Somebody says I'm going with Cam Brate. Screw it. Yeah, left the door open. Somebody walked in. Hey, yo, Mike. Jeff Zuber donates $3 to the stream. He says, crazy you got Kelly Olynyk on here. Jeff Zuber. I'm going to assume that's the same Jeff that we know. Slayton and Shepard in the same lineup, question mark? Yeah, you could do that. Are you going to suggest a backup kicker next week? No, come on. What are you talking about? This is a 100% hit rate right now on the backup tight ends on this show, on the showdown slates from special guests. What are you talking about? Somebody says LMAO, Jeff. DFS in the DK $5 single entry. Do you like Fournette as captain? Yeah, sure. He's a top 3 owned captain for me. Somebody says that was Kelly Olynyk. People think that this man looks like Kelly Olynyk or George Kittle, people are saying. Somebody says George Little. Why are we talking about Brate? Yeah, yo, Marquell is your name? Yeah, Marquell. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If you did not come in yet, rewind like 5 or 6 minutes. Josh Rosen, guys, they'll be so far ahead, and Josh is coming in. Ooh, sneaky. Somebody says Cake Boss Man. How do you feel about Ronald Jones, more / 63.5 rushing yards tonight? That's an efficient number. I don't want to take the more or less than that. If you made me take a side, I would take the under, but that's an efficient. Someone said, just joking, I love the show. Going 100% Brait in the captain spot. Yeah, I mean, captain spot might be extreme. We're just hoping for a touchdown here, like 3 catches. But hey, I can't really not condone it at this point. Kittle and Olynyk playing there, Brait. Hey, I just entered 2 more lineups in my Millie Maker with Brait. Hope Sal is tagging DFS later tonight. Yeah, last time when Nick Boyle fell in the end zone, like late in the 4th quarter, he had a 5-yard touchdown. I think that might have been his 2nd catch that night. So he had actually a decent game. He had like 10 points at like single-digit ownership and like low price. But there was like 17 people instantly added me. I was like, this is amazing. Would it be good to fade Mike Evans? Yeah, you can. His price point's at a point where you don't have to play him. Like, I have a good amount of Mike Evans, but I don't think I'm going to be anywhere near the field. Let me see. With captain ownership on Mike Evans, 20% plus where I'm at right now. Yeah, I'm going to be below the field on Mike Evans. Not by a major amount, but probably by like 10 to 15. Worried about Bradbury and Evans tonight? Not too much. Like, I think Evans is going to see, he's a candidate to see double-digit targets. He's been fantastic. 2 out of 3 games with no Godwin, he scored over 100 yards. He's had a touchdown in every single one of them. Evans on the season, yeah, it's not what you want out of him, right? Some of these games not being targeted as much. But when Godwin hasn't been in there, Brady just stares down Mike Evans. Now, it's a small 3-game sample, so that can change. And he's expensive on this slate, but I'm not too concerned with Bradbury being on him. Bradbury's been good this year. It's still a jump ball receiver that's really going to succeed on most of the time on this type of a slate touchdowns. I'm adding a couple more lineups with Brait. I can't believe that I actually like the pick now. Man, recency bias, or what is it? Confirmation bias is some crazy stuff. Bro, Kelly Olynyk giving the advice. Yeah, straight fire. How you feeling about defenses being a lock, whether it's utility or captain? I mean, if you're playing one, how many lineups are you playing? If you're playing like 5 or 10, I wouldn't lock a defense in. I don't really like defenses tonight. In my latest crunch, I have 1% of each defense. And also, I should note now that in my latest crunch, if I put Cameron Brate's projection to 5 points, I get him in 13% of my lineups. Highest owned tight end. I think we might roll with it. I think we might have to. I don't think I'm allowed to actually have another opinion on that. I have to re-crunch, so I just deleted my crunch. Damn. What time is it? 6:10. So yeah, we'll go live for another. We've been live for 41 minutes. We'll go live for like another 5-10 minutes. Jason Garrett is the most predictable play caller in the NFL. No wonder Bucs defense is 7,400. Yeah, it seems like it, right? They just run so inefficiently bad, especially when it comes to. I mean, it doesn't help when you lose your like one of the best running backs in the league, and then you also lose your entire offensive line is terrible. Like, there's not much time to develop anything downfield to your playmakers, and you didn't have Sterling Shepard for a while. Evan Ingram has no time to go downfield. 12% Cameron Brate. That seems like the closing point on that one. So we'll be above the field on Cameron Brate, I believe. Double Tampa Bay running back for me. Yeah, I think that's in play. Locking in Cameron Brate for the first touchdown at 1,600. What's anytime touchdown? Is that like +2, +3 or 400? Should have mentioned, my bad. Defense, a lock in single entry, either position. I'm probably not going to go defense in single entry. Brate or Watson? I currently have 1% more Watson. Jones gets goal line work. If he starts his drive off good, it could hurt Fournette's value. Yeah, I'm actually curious how much goal line work Fournette's been getting. I'm going to pull this up right now on Profiler. Because obviously, like, Jones is going to show out to have more red zone work if you're just looking at the red zone touches, because Fournette's been out half the games. Fournette's averaging 2.8 red zone touches per game, keeping in mind that he left one game early. Now let's look at Ronald Jones. So 2.8 attempts per game. Also keep in mind Ronald Jones' workload went up when he was the only running back. So, no, they're similar right now. So Fournette sees 2.8 red zone touches per game. Ronald Jones sees 2.9. So I actually don't think Ronald Jones, based on those numbers, gets the red zone work exclusively himself. Like last week, Ronald Jones saw 0 red zone touches. So I think it's pretty split depending on if that's their drive, depending on if they're coming out for a breather. So yeah, I would say that last week you ended up seeing 4 red zone touches last week for Fournette to 0 for Ronald Jones. So I think that doesn't mean Fournette's now the guy at the red zone, but I think that it's kind of up in the air. I'm hearing the wins could be a factor tonight. Thinking of a lot of checkdowns to running backs. Yeah, I mean, everything I'm looking at, the Vegas totals really haven't come down, so I don't think they're going to be a factor as much as people think. Like, the Vegas total for this game went from 48 to 46.5. Like, that's a little bit of a concern, but it's not the 7 to 8 point drops that you saw yesterday in some games. Like, the team total has gone up a point for Tampa Bay, and it's gone down 1.5 points for the Giants. So, like, if anything, it looks even more encouraging for Tampa Bay tonight in their passing weapon. So, the Giants have a 16.75 implied total tonight. That is just brutal. Jesus. What's up, Sal? What's going on, Luke? How you doing? Projection for Gallman versus Fournette. I have Fournette for 11.2. I have Gallman for 10. Scotty Miller or Gronk if you're fading Mike Evans. If you're fading Mike Evans, I would go with Scotty Miller. More downfield upside. Gronk has a 2 touchdown upside more so, but I'll play for the 1 big play. You think rostering both Tampa Bay running backs could be a sneaky play? Yes, I do. I'm not doing it personally, but I think that it's at least in play. but their price points make me not want to do it. Even in 150s, I'm not doing it. Also, if you're still not, let me check in on SuperDraft. Let me see what their overall contests are going, because they have $5,500 to first. SuperDraft's main contest tonight, is it filled yet? It's not filled. So we got 2 hours to go, so that makes sense, right? So 1,800 people are in there out of 3,200. So what is this percentage-wise? So we're 56% filled right now in SuperDraft. So 56% filled. I would say with 2 hours to go, this thing probably hits like 85%, 90%, which is still good, right? That's 10% of it not filling, and they still guarantee the prize pool. So you're playing 10% less people for the same amount of prizes. Obviously, that's an advantage for you. But yeah, check it out. So the promo code is just my name, Sal. 50% deposit match up to $1,000. So SuperDraft tonight, I haven't mentioned it. Multiplier format, all that stuff, but I haven't mentioned in terms of plays. Right now, there's a lot of guys, it's very similar to just DraftKings. Like, a lot of guys are going to look pretty similar. Like, even kickers are coming up here. But Scotty Miller, Gronk, it's a lot of Tampa Bay guys. Daniel Jones would be the one giant that I would play. Either Jones, Shepard, Gallman, but they're pretty well below some of these other Tampa Bay guys. Scotty Miller and Gronk, and actually at a good multiplier of 2.55, Ryan Suckup actually starts to get up there as a kicker with a nice team total of 28.5 compared to Graham Gano at just 16.5. The downside is, of course, that Graham Gano might be in more field goal situations where Suckup's just going to be kicking extra points. Would you play Brady or Rodgers in the Monday to Thursday slate? I think more people will own Brady, so I think in that situation I usually will go to Rodgers. More people will own Brady. Brady's matchup it's like team total-wise 28.5. It's good. It definitely is. What is the look-ahead line on the team total? Let me look right now for the Packers if it's up yet for you. It's not up yet, at least on Fantasy Labs, which I'm looking at right now. I'm sure I could pull it up if I move over though. I put in a bet that Bray can get 2 or more touchdowns. If that's the case, he might be the captain. If he's dropping like 20 fantasy points at that price point. What exposure do you usually hover around for showdown slate on kickers? It's really all different. Like tonight, my kicker exposure is in the mid to high 20s on some of these. Suckup's at like 20%, or Suckup's at 30-ish. Graham Gano's at 20-ish. And that's just because there's not a ton of value. So I won my first showdown slate on Thursday. Unfortunately, I tied with 10 people. Hey, that's still good. I mean, unless you're playing like a contest that only had like $10 at first, and you walked away with a nice $1 singular. Are you expecting Watson and Johnson to split the time equally? If not, what would you expect it to look like? I think that's a real possibility. If anything, I think you might see like, let's say 20 routes for Tyler Johnson and like 12 or 13 for Justin Watson. But the target share on that still looks more times than not like maybe 4 or 5 targets for Tyler Johnson, 3-4 targets for Justin Watson. So I don't think it's that big of a difference. There's also the case that Tyler Johnson just commands the slot and Watson remains just a straight up backup, but I think you're going to see it pretty even. Maybe it's like a 4 target game for one of them, 2 for the other, but I think that's kind of a coin flip. Who would you pair if Jones was in your captain spot? Which one, Daniel or Ronald? What's up, Sal? What's going on? All right. What do we got here? What is the optimal? Trying to win a Millie Maker. Yeah, a Millie Maker playing the optimal, you're not going to win the Millie Maker. You probably won't even win cash games because the optimal and showdowns are just brutal. It's like putting your kids' college tuition into like penny stocks. Like you're trying to find like the right spot to put in something that you don't want to lose money on, right? Your cash games when it comes to DFS, you're trying to put those into a 1-game slate that no matter what, it's going to be variant, right? Even if you think you have the best guy in the captain spot, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, whoever it might be, it's a really variant slate. It's a 1-game slate. You don't have much of an edge to begin with. Expectations for Shepard tonight with Tampa having a tough defense. Yeah, my expectations are that I believe I like him a little bit more than Slayton. Slayton is a big play upside receiver. He's had red zone success as well, but not a ton in his career. It's mainly big play upside, and Tampa Bay just limits big plays better than basically anybody else in the league right now. Sounds bad that I actually think Brate is going to do good. No, I mean, I had Brate in my player pool. I had like 3%. I actually don't mind Brate, but now we have 10% more. But I don't mind Brate because he's $1,400, and he hasn't ran routes the last couple weeks, but the last time Godwin was out was the time where O.J. Howard, it was his first game out, and Brate actually got usage, 16 routes. Now, he got a huge target share in those 16 routes. He had like 6 targets. That's not going to happen. But if you run 16 routes, you're hoping for the red zone score, right? That's your main thing. Like Nick Boyle, the week that he scored for us, I'm sure he didn't run. Let's look at it right now. I'm sure he didn't even run 16 routes. He probably ran like 12 routes that week. Lamar in that team, they were trailing a lot, so he might have ran a little bit more. So that week against Kansas City, listen to this. Nick Boyle ran 6 routes. So if like you're not familiar with routes, like a backup tight end, maybe they'll run 10 routes in the game. Like a starting tight end, if they're a good one, like Evan Ingram's probably going to run like 30 routes tonight. Nick Boyle ran 6 routes and he got us that 5-yard touchdown, 7.5 fantasy points. That's crazy. So like, yeah, Brate's worst game this year is running 6 routes. So at his price point, I think he's probably going to run 12-ish routes. Maybe you get to that 15 range. Windy and MetLife, the Vegas totals aren't saying so I'm not really factoring it in. Any exposure to Deion Lewis tonight? Yeah, I do have some exposure to Deion Lewis. I have Deion Lewis in 5% of my lineups, so probably around the field, maybe a little bit below. How many people are in here? We got, 1,100 people. Y'all are crazy. What the fuck y'all doing on Monday night? Just chilling? All right, what do we got? 50 minutes we've been live. I'm going to go live for another 3. Josh Theme says, what percentage of Ingram do you have? 5-1 stacks, best, or 4-2? Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, Josh. So I have Evan Ingram in 6% of my lineups. It looks like I'm going to be well below the field on him. I think Evan Ingram probably comes in 20% of people's lineups tonight, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of Evan Ingram. I actually want to get more. It is a fine matchup. Devin White has not been good in coverage this year. It's just the fact that Sterling Shepard back hurts him middle of the field when Shepard goes into the slot. When he's not there, Tate will be there, and that helps Evan Ingram. Ingram is highly involved in the offense. They just don't have time to throw downfield, and I really don't have a reason to think they will tonight. So yeah, I'm not going to have much Evan Ingram. Last time I played Scotty Miller, Brady didn't even look his way for 0 targets. Yeah, that was probably the last time, week 4. I believe where Mike, the first week that Goblin was out, and then the next week he actually scored a touchdown. Don't get cute. Play the Bucs defense. Yeah, Bucs defense, they project out very meh, right? They don't look that great. And they're also picking up ownership. They're not highly owned, but 20+% ownership on them. Somebody says, smash the like button. Yeah, go for it. Hit it up. Monkey Knife Fight. Passing yards or fantasy point predictions for both quarterbacks. Yeah, I'd have to kind of reconfigure some of my projections to get the exact. I have the algorithms to give me the passing yards, but they don't show them specifically. I have Brady over 20+ fantasy points. I have Jones around 16. You think it'll be high scoring game? Maybe one side of the ball. Right now what you're getting out of this game total is a decently scoring game. It's dropped a little bit, maybe because of weather. It's at 46.5, so that's for today's NFL, that's not that high scoring. Today's NFL, 50+, you need to be in the high scoring range, if not 52+. This man, Ryan Guerin, says, fuck it, I'm going to play Brait. Your friend better not fuck me over. I literally don't know that man. He walked in my house, so let's not try and put this on me now. I don't know that guy. How many touches for Gallman tonight? I think you're probably going to see Gallman probably flirt somewhere between the 14 touch range, 14, 15, depending on the game flow. The upside in Gallman is not his rushing ability. He's a decent running back, but it mainly comes from the passing game, right? So you're hoping for Gallman to catch 4 or 5 passes tonight. And with the pressure that's going to be on them, you're hoping that they just check that damn thing down to Gallman. Gallman maybe sees 5 targets, catches 4 for 30 yards, and then he does anything on the ground. Touchdown, you're feeling real good, right, at his price point, but does anything on the ground, right? Gallman's 12 carries tonight for 40 yards. You honestly probably take that in this matchup, 3.5 yards a carry or so. So you probably will take that, and then you're hoping for the passing game work. So if you get anything on the ground, rushing touchdown, right, goal line score, a nice big run, he has 60 yards rushing, you take that and you run with it. But we're really playing Gallman at this price tag for the passing game work. He's a very good pass-catching running back. It's not just his last week's 5 catches. Just dating back on a per-snap basis, he's one of the best running backs in the last 10 years. It's a small sample, so it's very James White-esque, right, small sample. But Gallman's one of the best running backs in terms of how many receptions he sees per route run. Alrighty. What do we got here? We're live for 52.5 minutes, 6:20. All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. My dumbass kept trying to type Gallman. How much money should you leave on the table? All my lineups will have at least $1,000 on the table tonight. Bad sign there's no prop for Watson, or are we overanalyzing this? Justin Watson, you usually won't see props for wide receiver 4s. You usually won't see props on many sites. Thanks as always, Sal. Having Brady in about 5% of my lineups. Let's go. Nice. Best of luck. Everybody's on this side now with Brady. Can't wait. I hope we get that sweat over early. Last time it took to the last play of the game for Nick Boyle. I feel Brait might take over Aaron Rodgers' spot as a top play. No, Rodgers is still top, then Nick Boyle. Brait might slide into the Nick Boyle role, depending on if he can clear 7.5 fantasy points for us. Does Jones get another breakaway run and fall down? Yeah, I'll take the under on that. Should I take the bet of the Buccaneers 10.5? Buccaneers 10.5? Yeah, if you see that line out there, go and get it, because right now the line is at 12, so it's a pretty good bet you're getting still. Do you like Ingram or Sterling Shepard to see more targets? Sterling Shepard. Tanner Hudson for life. Yeah, Tanner Hudson, preseason MVP. All right, everybody, I'm about to bounce. Thanks for all the help. Thanks for taking the time for the help. Yeah, no problem, Alex. Best of luck, everybody. Shout out Cameron Brate. That's the only thing I care about now tonight. Not even my lineups. The reputation of the special guest is very much on the line, so we have to try and live up to that tonight. So shout out Cameron Brate. Like and subscribe before you go. There's 1,100 of you in here. Shout out all of you. If you don't know what we're talking about with Cameron Brate, fast forward or rewind 20 minutes or so. Like, subscribe to all those things. Check out Patreon. The projections and rankings are up. There'll be a bunch of other stuff for the main slate throughout the week. Podcast, GPP strategy show, more projections, rankings. Hopefully ownership this week is what we're trying to pin down this deal on. And then check out SuperDraft. You can deposit over there your first time. The top plays that I think are on SuperDraft tonight, Scotty Miller and Rob Gronkowski from a projection standpoint on SuperDraft. If you use my promo code, just SAL, S-A-L, you get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 Rooskies. Peace out, everybody. See you later. Take care. Brush your hair. Let's win this money. Peace out. Tom Mullen says, yeah, I'll leave on that one. Peace out. See you. Let's close up the shop. And